Everybody too late. Let me see if this is recording. Okay, we're recording. Welcome, you guys. I have missed like the last two, I think, Dash to Director calls. So I was super pumped to be able to be on here again tonight because my gorgeous sister and fabulous cousin-in-law, Robin and Jamie, were so kind to take over so that I could go watch my daughter play volleyball. And she just happens to play volleyball on like every time we have one of these calls, but she didn't have a game tonight. So I'm so excited to be here. And I'm super excited to introduce to you Liz. Liz is amazing. So I'm so excited for her to share tonight. She is an executive on our team. And I met Liz through my sister, but I got to really meet Liz at Mini Summit this year. And it was the best weekend, and she just has a heart of gold. So I'm so excited for her to share because you're going to learn so much, not necessarily about working inside a business, but just mindset in general. So love what she has to say. So welcome, Liz. And at the end, you guys, I will open it up for any questions that you may have. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody just so that we don't have any background noise. And then, Liz, you just unmute yourself as soon as I mute, and then take it away.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Perfect. Okay. So I'm super excited to be here. Obviously, thank you to Megan and Jamie and Robin. I know they've put a lot of work into this program, and it's really cool because I wish, when I like reflect back, I wish that I would have had this program when even after I had hit director. So it really speaks to my heart. I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer. I talk really fast. I don't have a filter, and I have lots of hand gestures. So if you're cool with that, I will hopefully give you guys something that you can take away. And I really think that, like I said, I think things in this program are not only great for directors, but even if you've been in this business a while, it's great to just kind of get a refresher, because sometimes we can get wrapped up, especially in kind of like leadership. And those are the things that I feel like I kind of struggled with in the beginning. So Megan kind of said, I'm an executive. I hit director within, so my second month. So within about 6 weeks of starting Zaya. So if you're on this call right now and you tell me that, oh, Liz, it's the 13th of the month, there's no way I'm going to hit director, you need to stop with that nonsense because if you have your mindset on anything, you can do it. I hit director, and I sold $3,000 in the last 2 days of the month that I hit. So you can totally do it. And if I take anything from my leader, Jamie James, she will say the same thing. You can move mountains. I don't care if it's in the last 8 hours of the month. So just keep that mindset as we go forward. I kind of want to break it down into how you stay consistent once you've hit director, or really just anything staying consistent in this business. So I broke it down into the triple D's of director, and I'm not talking about obviously bra size. So number one, like diving into the numbers, and really looking at a realistic number. Okay. So when I first started, this was something that we did, and I kind of brought it back, and I'm really loving it. So setting a minimum, an average, and then like a maximum of what you want for your own personal sales. And I like to call them I have to hit this number. I will do anything. I will run a VIP. I'll have an extra party. Like, I have to hit this number. Second, I'm happy with, like, that would be really cool if I hit it. And then third is, holy crap. Like, holy crap, I hit it. And I think it's good when you take something tangible or a bill that you're paying and relate those to each three of those. So for example, you have to in personal sales, like maybe that's your gym membership. Okay. And so you would love to have whatever your commissions are that month go to your gym membership. Happy with car payment, a little bit more, and then holy crap, your mortgage. I feel like when you, because in the beginning we were just like, oh, this is great. Like I'm making money and I don't really even know what I'm doing, but it's awesome. When you relate that to something, I feel like you're more successful. Okay. And so you're less likely to fail because you're constantly reminded of it. Like if your thing is the gym membership, every time you go to the gym, you're like, oh God, I probably should be doing stuff for Zaya because that's what I'm working for that month. That is, my sales. When you do that and you break numbers down, it's easier because now you have this like 10,000 group volume, right? If you're trying to maintain director. So if you break that down, you know what you're bringing to the table. So that's not a question anymore. And then once you do that with your team, well, that's a team of 2, that's a team of 25. It doesn't matter to me, but then you know exactly where you're at. There is no question because these are if you have a have to, then you know for sure you're going to bring that. And I just think you're more successful. And obviously doing it with your team, knowing where they stand, and then using the tracking sheets. There's multiple different tracking sheets. Use them. But I think it's cool because once I know that's kind of what my team is going for. So for example, a rep really wants to pay her student loans. We know what that number is. And once I can see in the back office that she's hit that number, I can send her a message and be like, your student loans are paid off. Now what are you going to do? It's only the 17th of the month. What are you going to do? So then you're not sending to your team this like, your sales have to be this, right? It's something that you guys can talk about and relate to. And it's something that means something to them. If it's a bill that they're paying or their kids' daycare or their vacation fund or whatever it is, I just think it's good to put something to it rather than whatever I make is whatever I make. And so that's like diving into the numbers. Secondly, duplication. We hear it all the time and you will continue to hear it. And this is where I truly feel like this Dash to Director program is huge. And if you're in it right now, you are very lucky. If you are adding reps, they are very lucky. This is something that, like I said, was self-reflection. I don't know if I was doing 100%. And I think it wasn't because, well, I'll be honest. Like I said, I hit director and I was like, okay, I did 7,500 of that. And in my head, I was bringing people on my team, but I wasn't breaking that number down. And I was taking this overwhelming feeling that is what I had to do. And when I did that, now looking back, I kind of forgot about them. They were successful and they were moving forward. Well, were they getting all of my energy? Because I was so focused on kind of what I was doing in the beginning. And it's a hard balance. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. It's a hard balance. And I don't think any of the leaders, on the Connect page really have it mastered. I don't think you'll ever have it mastered. So if you feel like you're building this team, or last month you brought on 10 people or whatever it is. If you want a Peloton, if you're on this call, I'm so jealous of you. So you're going to probably struggle with it, but hopefully at the end of this, I give you some things that will help with that. But so Dash to Director program, soak it up. Also a new thing that I'm trying. So the Dash to Director program is 90 days, right? So looking at 30, 60, 90 and putting your new reps into those categories. So if you're a new rep, you're going to go into the 30-day category, right? Within those 30 days, we are scheduling your launch party. We are hopefully getting you 1 party or 2, depending where you start in the month. And then now after that 30 days, you move into the 60 days, 60 days, we're hoping that you've, booked out your calendar for the month. Maybe you've added a rep. And then in 90 days, who knows? Obviously, hopefully hitting director. But when you put people in those categories, it helps you also organize, right? And you can talk to that group. Because sometimes it's like, well, this person's here and this person's here, and I don't like totally know. And even if it's one person, like if you've committed to this Dash to Director program, you're going somewhere. I'm fully confident in that. It's going to be at your time, not anybody else's. And so, even if that's one person that you're moving from the 30 to the 60 to the 90, you can really look at what your goals are within those 30 days. And that can help you organize that. So the other thing that I think is super cool is you can kind of pair people, right? So then they have an accountability partner. If they're struggling with something and this is your 60-day group, if they're within their 60 days, then you know that they can chat with each other. Hey, I know that so-and-so is also struggling with that or also going for that. And that can help just with accountability. And you can do that if you're on this call and you're a senior director or an executive, you can also use that through your whole team wide. So that's kind of what I'm going to start doing. I just now have started it with the people that enrolled last month. And so I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to help just even levels down and across. And hey, who are your 60-day people? All right, let's get them on a call. Let's do this. Let's talk to them. And then what are they going for? Obviously, duplication. If you're not using new rep checklists, if you're not communicating, that's another thing that I think in the beginning, I was putting the communication out, but I wasn't checking to see if you got it, right? So people can read a message, but do they understand it? Are they doing it? And I know that sometimes sounds like you're just checking in with people, like how many parties do you have? But they might not feel comfortable either telling you what they're struggling with, or maybe, here's another thing, maybe you're putting them in like this, okay, they probably only want 4 parties. Well, if you never talk to them, maybe they want 12. And they just don't think that that's normal. So just making sure that you're communicating, you're using the tools that we have and like the tracking sheets and that kind of stuff. And then if you want to duplicate, you need to talk like it. Okay. So this is probably something, if you're from Team Legacy, you're going to get this a second time. So you have to talk like it. And I don't know if I was doing that in the beginning either. If you and your team, I don't care if it's you, I don't care if it's you and somebody else, okay? You have got to talk like the growth that you want to see. So making sure you're saying things that resemble that. So if last month you had 4 parties and this month you have 8, that's doubling. I don't care what you want to call it, it's doubling. So you need to talk like that. If you are tripling reps, if you're tripling sales, talk like it. And it will change your business immensely. And making sure you're talking about that in parties, right? So if somebody's like, oh yeah, she really enjoys her gig as a Xia rep, but she never talked about me doing it, then they have no idea that that's something that you're really passionate about. So just making sure you're increasing, I'm looking at my notes, you're increasing the value of your business. When you increase the value of your business, people want to buy into your business, right? If Apple right now said, okay, who wants to buy us? There's a big price tag on it. People want to come in. And so that is what we're selling. So just making sure that you and your team, if you want to see duplication, amongst a lot of the other things, like I said, checklists, parties, obviously we know all that, but we got to talk like it. And I think sometimes, well, I struggled with that in the beginning. And then the last D is develop. Okay. So you need to develop leaders. I know Savannah talked about this too, but you have to know the numbers. And I don't want to be this to sound Okay. If you're not checking numbers on a daily basis, I don't know. I just think we only have 30 days, although you can do a lot in 30 days. But if you're just making sure you're checking the numbers, you know what the numbers are. If you don't, ask somebody. And when you check those numbers, I think this is something also that maybe in the beginning I wasn't doing as well. So if you know anything about me, I'm very big on self-reflection. And I think that's huge too. Sorry, my dog's coming to say hi. But making sure you're shouting out the small successes, okay? Small successes lead to big futures. So if you're new and you have a rep that has 600 PV and it's their first month, that is a big deal. That is a huge deal. And I know that maybe for you, you've been doing this business for 6-7 months and your sales are maybe more than that, but that's huge for them. And so shouting that out, you know, whether it's their first live, they signed their first rep, I mean, just really, you know, rewarding their success, and just shouting that out. So small successes equal big futures, and just making sure you're doing that. And then secondly, how to develop is if you see someone who's doing something really well, whether they're the party queen, like when I first started, if Chelsea was doing a call, I was on it because we knew that Chelsea was the queen of parties. That's I mean, everybody knows that she's still that way. And so if you see somebody that's doing something really well, make them the queen. Have them do a training. Get notes from them. I mean, soak that up and be okay. You have to be okay with not knowing everything. Like, you're just not going to know everything in this business. And so, making sure that you make somebody the queen, or king. I don't know if there's anybody on this call, but just making sure that you're shouting them out. Queen Chelsea, yes. And then the other thing is time management. So last month, I would like blow up the chat right now, but like coming off of last month, yeah, there's no promo this month. And like, it's kind of this like, I started the month, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then you just start to feel overwhelmed. And, you know, if you're building a team, that can get overwhelming. So just making sure that you're taking time for time management, and that will help you develop other leaders, right? So things that I think would help you is if you're looking, especially in those, you know, you're looking at your 30, 60, 90-day people, and you're like, okay, I have a lot of, you know, 90-day people or that are approaching it and they're going for some really big goals. Maybe this month is the month that I should do a group party, right? And I should break up my week so I can free up a week where I can then throw that into my team. Now, everybody does it differently. I think some people, you know, some people like don't look at not that they're not looking at their team, but they're really focused on their own numbers the first like 20 days in the month, and then the last 10 days of the month they do that. Some people have 1 day a week. I don't care what it is, just find it now. And so when you start to duplicate and all of a sudden it's 20 new people and 40 new people, that you already have that set in place. So just planning ahead, and then make lists. Okay, I'm a list person. I actually told my husband on our first date, this is a side note, you guys will get this. I said to him, fun fact, weirdo. I said, fun fact, I like to make lists. And sometimes I make lists, things I've already done just for the mere satisfaction of crossing them out. Like, I don't know if anyone else does that, but I'm like, showered today, like crossed off, like even though that's a win, but just making a list and knowing the things that you have to do. This business, I can get sucked in for hours on everybody list maker. Yeah, see, I'm not so weird. But this business, you can get totally sucked into the Zaya marketing page. Like, I'm like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute. Oh my gosh, look at this graphic. And then before you know it, you're on Canva or WordSwag or whatever for 4 hours making images. I'm going to tell you guys right now. And I love the people that make images. And if you've taken my images, that's sweet. But do things that help you grow. Okay. So I wrote down, do what makes you grow. If spending 2 hours on the perfect image, first of all, that is not, number one, that is not duplicatable. And number two, that's probably not where you should be investing most of your time. Like, there's an 80-20 time management method. I'm not going to get into that. You guys can like research that, but just making sure when you're looking at your list, like, okay, I have to do follow-ups. I have to book parties. I need to talk to my team. In listing them out, guilty, like, I'm an aspiring graphic artist. Yeah, it's okay, Kelly. I know. I was like that too in the beginning. And then I'm like, people just, I mean, yes, now like they can see this Zaya Rupp does this and that's really cute. And you can just don't even get sucked into that, because like people just want to see the clothes and they want to hear your testimony and they want to hear you in it. You don't have to have the perfect live and you don't have to have the perfect graphic. Although many of you are very talented and create beautiful things, and I will continue to use them. But just making sure you're doing things that grow your business. And lastly, personal development. Okay. It's not something that I did before this. I'll tell you right now. But when you start to step into this leadership role that many of you, if you've already hit director, you're a junior rep, senior rep, you're a rep. If you're a rep, if you are waking up every day, I told this to somebody the other day, if you're waking up every day and you're still consistently doing Zaya, then you're leading yourself, and you have to keep dumping back into your bucket. So just making sure you're doing personal development. So the triple D's, dive in, know your numbers, okay, and set realistic goals, and know what your team is bringing to the table. Because then it's not a question. It's not like the 20th of the month and you're like, oh my gosh, Susie, she didn't do any parties. Well, if you would have asked her the first of the month, you would have known that she wasn't doing parties. First of all, we need to talk to her about it. Maybe she's got something going on that she needs you for. She's got some life crisis, you know. It's so much more than just reaching out and saying, how many parties are you doing? Like, because there might be something going on, but at the same time, you're not going to get to the 20th of the month and then be scrambling. So know the numbers, duplicate. There's really nothing else to say about that besides you need to duplicate and use the tools that are there, and talk the talk. Oh my gosh. I can talk about that for hours. And then just developing leaders. Like when you see people doing things really well, whether it be, I mean, if it's okay, I for a long time got told by some of the sidelines that I needed to do a posing training. I have yet to do one, but if someone is good at that, if someone's good at making their photos, if they're good at, you know, making outfits, whatever it may be, just make sure that you're developing those people, looking at their numbers, and just making sure that you're celebrating small wins, because that will add up to huge, huge things in your business. So I think that's it. Let me look. You guys think of I'm on my phone, so I don't know if I can see the chat. So let me open this up.
Yeah, I don't see any questions quite yet. I have like a bunch of notes I wrote down though. I loved it. So good.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I have a few comments because I loved a few things that she said just really quick before we open it up for questions. First of all, I love the, celebrate the small successes lead to big futures. Here's the thing. When you go live for the first time, that may be something that you were so scared to do and you never thought you would do. That is a huge success. If it's asking someone to be a hostess and you are fearful of doing that, that is a huge success. Like, we have to celebrate those successes, because that is, Liz is exactly right. That is what will lead you to a big future. Because if you can overcome, I feel like all of these fears, that's like failing your way to success, because you're going to fail and you're going to have a bad life, and you're going to maybe say something you shouldn't have, or your son might run through with his underwear on. Whatever happens, you're going to have little fails, and those are going to lead you to your successes for your big future. But if you're not doing those things, you can't have that big future. So I loved that. That is a huge takeaway. So I hope you all wrote that down. And then this is my favorite by far. So I just turned it when she says, you've got to communicate and talk. So I wrote down, talk the talk, walk the walk. Here's the thing. Sometimes we are too scared to talk about what we're doing. Even that we sell Zaya, that we are repping this brand and we are a rep for Zaya. We should be shouting it out to the rooftops, not scared to talk about it. So I love that, because I'm just like, oh yeah, I sell Zaya, blah, 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 because we're so scared of the response. Like, shout it out. Shout it out to the rooftops. And if you're talking to your teams and your goal was to sell $1,000 and you did that in 1 month, and that was one thing you never thought you could do, talk about it. Like, celebrate that. Like, those are the things that will bring your team together. Those are the things that will help your team celebrate the successes. So I love that. So that is so huge, because a lot of times we don't talk. We don't talk, and we don't talk the talk or walk the walk. Like, we have to do both. And then thirdly, really quick, I love the know your team. So that is so true. So you have to be engaged with why they joined this business, like, and what they're doing every single month, because they trusted in you. They believed in you. They want to do this with you, but they need you being their biggest cheerleader. That you need to be helping them along and cheering them on and motivating them. Like, sometimes if I just get a text from either a teammate or my sponsor or someone, even if it's from another team, and they motivate me in some way, it totally drives me. And it helps me want to work my business. Or if I'm bouncing things off, say Jamie, my sister, and she says, well, I have 8 parties this month and I personally only have 6. I'm like, oh gosh, well, I better kind of step it up a notch. Like, you're helping each other. You're holding each other accountable, which Liz said, have an accountability partner. It doesn't have to be someone on your team. If you've met someone through Dash to Director, if you've seen someone on our Connect page and you feel like, hey, that would be someone I could connect with, reach out to them and say, let's cheer each other along. Like, are you going for director? So am I. Hold each other accountable. Tell each other, okay, we're going to each have 10 parties this month or 5 parties this month, or we're going to each sign up 2 reps, and then you can celebrate with each other. So that was awesome. So good, Liz. I loved all of it. It was awesome. Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions really quick, and then we're just going to I will post the recording. I will send it out in an email either tonight or tomorrow for those of you. And then really quick, you guys, I am putting all of the recorded videos, all of the training videos that we've had on a playlist that will get emailed out for all of you guys to have for future trainings to send on to new reps. Those are at your fingertips to use with however you guys want to use those with your team. So after our last video with Jackie Lawrence, I will create that playlist and get it emailed out to everybody. So any questions really quick, you can unmute and ask away. Looking here if there's any. Let's see, Megan, my level 1s, or am I always checking in with everyone else? Oh, okay. So your level 1s, so what I do is I check in regularly with all my level 1s. If I have a level 2 or a level 3, let's say, or even a level 4 or 5, and their sponsor isn't engaged, and I know that they need someone else to step in, then I will add them to my list, basically, my list, Liz, of my level 1s. So you kind of have to know your team. If someone has kind of checked out, then you need to be that person. You need to be that person's cheerleader and that mentor and that coach and accountability partner for them. So it just kind of depends on the situation, but mainly it's my level 1s, check in with them, make sure that, we're on the same page. Yeah. Any other questions for Liz or anything at all? You're welcome. Anybody? Nobody?
I just want to say quickly that when you were talking, Megan, about shouting from the rooftops that this is what we do, last week I jumped on Discover Zaya because I had a few people that were on there and I just wanted to be present. And one of the things that Mariah said was that, when people ask her what she does, she tells them, she's the landscape architect and she sells Zaya, or she's a Zaya brand rep or whatever. So that was something that I kind of took away from that. Or maybe it was when she was on here. I don't know. But anyway, she said it at some point. And I think that's important. That's something that I had not been doing. I have a job outside of Zaya. And so that's something that I've started to do. Just, hey, I'm a nurse manager and I rep, and I usually just say athleisure wear or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that sparks questions.
Yeah.
So I kind of jumped on a little bit late, but I just wanted to touch on that because I was folding laundry as you said that, we should be telling people, we should be saying that. And I just kind of wanted to reiterate that because when you do say that to people, they ask you, well, tell me more about that. And then it opens up a whole entire dialogue for you to start talking about this business.
Yeah.
And frankly, this is way more fun than my job.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And you don't have to say, I love that you pointed that out, because you don't have to say you're a brand rep for Zaya Active. You can just say, I'm repping an activewear brand and it's super awesome and fun. And I get to get free and half off, leggings, or however you want to say it. I remember when I first started and I would hear leaders or people on other teams say, repping Zaya. And I thought, I want to say that. That sounds so cool that I get to rep a brand. And I just think it's awesome. Yeah, we should be absolutely talking about it and sharing it with people, because if you don't, they're never going to know that you're doing it. So thank you for coming on.
I just want to say, I just did it. I was on Team Legacy, was that last Thursday? And that was pretty much my whole talk was about how we probably devalue our business and we really don't even know it, and the effect that has on your own mindset when you say words like, oh, I'm only, and I think I got this from nursing a long time ago, but when people are like, oh, I'm only a junior rep, it's like, no, because once you've put only, you've now just limited yourself. I think side gig is nice, but let's call it what it is. It is income, and you are running a business. You are running a business, and although you're having fun, just making sure that our mindset, kind of the way we talk, equals where we want to go. And when you limit that, or when you put those words on it, it really just devalues. And I can totally relate, because it took me a long time to say oh, I run a business. Once you say that, it's the most empowering thing. I have a team, I run a business, we're a group of, pretty awesome people doing some amazing things. And we've sold a lot of activewear. Also, we're the fastest growing team in Zaya in the middle of the United States. Say that, that's awesome. So yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Love it. Yes. Perfect. So good.
Too.
Anyone else? Oh, I know. Oh, go ahead.
So how do you, I have a bunch of reps that just joined, 10, so, and how do you get them, because when you're first starting, I feel you're still trying to figure out, how much do I want to pursue this business? So how do you get them motivated without being too overly pushy or overly in their business? Does that make sense? Did that make sense?
Yeah, that did. Liz, did you want, I think you're muted, Liz.
Okay. I will let Megan and Janie also answer this too. I think it is a fine line, but you have to give them the tools. If you don't give them the tools in the beginning, because you're kind of oh, I don't know, she says she's a discount person, or she just wants to see where it'll go, Okay, but if you don't ever give her the tools in the beginning, then it's going to go nowhere. Rather than that's what I was saying, like too, like if you don't know what that person wants to do and you limit them. So I think it's a hard balance, but I would for sure like just straight from the beginning, you know, give them all the tools, make sure they have a launch party if they haven't just had a party, and tell them like just have a party for a sister or a friend or a cousin or whatever, and then just see. But just always making sure they have the tools from the beginning. So I don't know what Megan and Jamie think, but
I'll let Jamie go first. She's really good.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
My internet's terrible. Okay. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the biggest thing, Kim, is just plugging them in to our community, to our teams right away, because then they get a good feel for the community and, you know, kind of where they want to go with it. I do highly, highly encourage all of our reps, even if they've enrolled someone that says, I just want the discount, I highly encourage you to do a launch party for them. Even if they say, I just want the discount, because it's been my experience anyway, that I would say 80% to 90% of the reps that I enroll that say, I just want the discount, end up building a pretty successful business. So, but they're not going to know that until you do. Once they see a launch party and see how easy it is, that you use, I don't know if all of you use Post My Party, but I use Post My Party. I work full time still. So I work full time and it's, you know, it's busy. I have to use Post My Party. And once other people see that and see how simple it is, then they're like, oh, this is it. I love this. I can do this. This is so much fun. So I highly encourage, even if they say discount, get them doing a launch party. And if they just had a party, really encourage them to book out at least a couple weeks so that they can, I always preface it with, let's help you get your money back from the starter kit. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think that, am I on mute? No, I'm not mute. I think the hard thing is, Kim, is you're probably feeling, and I totally know how you're feeling because I've been there. You're feeling overwhelmed because you've signed up, 10 new reps or 5, last month is insane. And it's exhausting and it's hard because you want to get them all trained and off and going the correct way. You have to fight through this upward hill until you can get to the top of getting them trained. And once you do, it is worth every step of the way. The thing that's hard is you're working on your own business, like Liz talked about. You're so focused on your own business, and then you have to help others get going, and it can be really exhausting and hard. So the sooner that you can touch base with them, I always do some sort of Zoom with my new reps to show them how to set up a party, how to create a party link, how to do Post My Party. I do it, I try to do it within 48 hours because I want them to get going and jump in right away, but I make it super simple. I don't go through an hour training with them on everything. I tell them, well, as things come up, I will coach you along the way. When your first return comes up, I'll show you when that happens. When you close out your first hostess party, when we get to the point where we actually enter rewards, I will walk you through it at that time. Now, everybody trains differently. I'm just speaking on how I specifically do it. So if you're doing it a certain way, don't change that. But just have to have that one-on-one training with them as soon as possible, because the sooner that you can get them feeling comfortable and having a party so that they can see like, oh gosh, I just had a party and I sold $500 and I made this. Are you kidding me? Okay, now if I book another party, that 500 now becomes 1,000 and you're saying I can make $250? Really? Like the sooner we can show them that they can make a paycheck and that they can see this community on the team pages and feel it with excitement after going live and after our first sale and after getting our first rep and, all of us cheering each other on, the more they're going to keep jumping in. But the longer we let them wait before that happens, it's harder for them to go back and have that same excitement they did when they first signed up. So that's why I know Jamie says this all the time. That's why we're like on repeat. We say, just jump in. Like you don't have to have them trained from knowing every single thing. You just basically need to have them trained in the beginning on the basics of how to set up a party. And then you're going to walk them through that first party, and you're going to be there with them every step of the way. So that's the hard thing then, Kim. Once you get them through that and they've had their first party and they know how to create a party link and they're kind of off and going, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and that communication with them becomes less. I'm not saying you don't communicate with them anymore, but it becomes less. In the beginning, you might be talking to a new rep multiple times a day, multiple times during the week. As they're off and running then, and they're kind of flying on their own, that multiple times a week becomes maybe once a week or a couple times a week. It becomes less and less and less as they go. It's just the hardness of it all in the beginning. You just have to get through that, and then
Yeah, and one thing I'll add to that, Meg, is too, Kim, if you are just kind of starting and enrolled a bunch of people last month, I would also encourage you to reach out to your upline and have them help you. I know Dana and I and Olivia did that with one of her new reps that came on board that enrolled like 6 or 7 new people. We each like helped with launch parties and so forth, because it can get overwhelming. So, I mean, that's what we're all here for. We're here to support one another. And we're for sure, like if you have a lot of people coming on at the same time, you want to make sure to give them all the attention you can, but you can only be so many places at one time. So reach out to your upline. I mean, we're all here to help you.
Yep.
I think, Megan, there was one more question in the chat. Sue, was it Sue? Yeah. Sue,
yeah.
are you still?
Yeah.
Sue. Okay, Sue asked, how long do you wait to jump in around the inactive level ones, which is a great question.
Okay, so because I do have a few myself, and what happens is I will include, so if I'm reaching down to a level 2 because my level 1 specifically sponsor person is not really active and they're not engaged, I still include them on any chats with the level 2, because I want them to know that I'm not going around you. I'm only trying to help you. I'm helping you by helping your team. And so I include them on basically any communication, and whether they want to engage and remove themselves is completely up to them. But the communication is directly with the level 2, but the level 1 who may be inactive is included. I just feel that that's the right, because you never know when they may want to engage. And you never want to count them out, because I always say this, I truly believe in timing, and everybody's timing is different. And so you never know, that timing could, they could become re-engaged. Yes, Angie. Sav has been amazing helping me and my team. Yes, she has. We have an amazing team. Everybody is so helpful for each other. I love that.
I'm going to chime in again if I can, because I just had this conversation with Jackie. I have a lot going on with my own personal life, just living, and my husband and kids and everything. And so I am very busy with Zaya, and I am running around telling everybody how easy this is, trying to be like, oh, it's easy, we keep it simple, all of those things. And I just was like, I'm busy with this. I'm working it every day. My husband looks at me like, are we ever gonna, watch TV together again or do anything like that? Because I get home and I start, posting and doing and all these things. And so what Jackie said to me was that, and it was pretty simple actually, she's like, and I ranked up, or I promoted to senior director in September. So, it's getting busy. Thank you. And she said, don't you think that most executives of any company are busy? Which, yeah, they are. And so, and that's kind of on the forefront of my mind, is that next level that I'm trying to get to. And so I do have all of these people that I'm trying to get going, and I've gotten good. Okay, hey, good job. This is how you create an event, that sort of thing. But I do know that
oh no.
Then you have these new reps, and you want to do justice to them. You want them to be successful. But it is hard. And I would just like to know, like, at what point do you guys feel like, I listened to the call with the sisters from the book, and they said, 30 days and then, a smidge more, and then they should be off and running. Is that something that you all stick to as far as that goes with that initial piece of training? And I do the same thing that Megan, that you were saying, was let's not worry about returns and exchanges until that comes up.
Yeah.
But, what do you stick to that 30-day rule?
Yeah, I think I think the 30-day thing is really good, because if they're starting as a rep and they're not jumping in within 30 days at some point to get going, most likely after 30 days it's going to be really hard for them to jump. But I read the person, because I think it's, again, my whole timing theory comes in. I think it's different. It can be different for everyone, because like my personality, when I started, I was like, what do I got to do? How do I got to do it? And I was like diving head first in. But somebody else that maybe I like to get my feet a little wet, see how I like it, and then I get down in the deeper water. Like, everybody's a little bit different, and that's where that piece where Liz talked about, you have to communicate to know where your team is at. So if someone says to you, I'm ready to jump in and get going, but I want to take this a little bit slower, versus the rep that says, let's go, tell me what I need to do to hit director, I'm ready. You can train them a little bit different than you're going to train the ones that are going a little slower. So yes, I like the 30 days, but I have a very hard time signing people up and not wanting them to have success. So I'll take it a little bit further, because I want anyone that has signed up to see, even if it's the success of an extra $100 a month or free leggings. I don't care what it is. I want them to have success. But so I think you got to kind of read your people, and you need to know why they joined the business, how fast they want to go, and you need to ask the questions. When you sign someone up, you need to ask them those questions and find out what their goals are, how fast do they want to go. Because ultimately, you guys, and we say this all the time, it's up to you. So like, Jamie's success does not have any, I am not going to have effect on Jamie's success. I will help her, and I will, be there to answer questions, but her success is ultimately up to her. Karen, your success is up to you. Liz's success is truly up to her. So in the end, it's up to that person and that person only. And so you just you have to ask the questions. But I do think the 30 days, I think that's because you can't pull people through this business, and you cannot. And if you're pulling and pulling and pulling, it's exhausting. And sometimes you need to just move on.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Karen, too, just by you having like a level 1 group chat, and always, they're always hearing from you. So I feel like, get them through those 30 days, maybe it'll take 45 days, whatever it takes to get them the information they need. And then just love on them where they're at. And I have a couple of reps now that started a year ago. We did their launch party. We got them through the first month, and they really kind of didn't do a whole lot. And now they're re-engaging and building a very successful business. But I think it's just, keeping in contact with them. And I always do at the beginning of the month, I check in with everyone. Mid-month, check in with everyone at the beginning of the month, see what their goals are. Mid-month, how are you doing? End of the month, okay, we have a couple days left. Well, where are you at? So I feel like too, when you're working full time, you have to have, some sort of little schedule, or you feel like I know what you're feeling. You get home and you're like, oh, gosh. So I feel like if you have some sort of little schedule like that, that will help. But the level 1, if you guys don't have a group chat with your level 1s, even if you have 1 rep, or 2 reps, make sure and have either a text message thread or a messenger thread where you can pass on information. And then they in turn will do the same thing, again, duplication to their team. So
I do have a comment on that as well.
Chelsea.
I don't think they said 30 first off. I think it's 60 or 90 or something like that. But anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. I feel like I'm a good example of that, because I think, what if Megan would have given up on me? I would probably still be sitting back at junior rep. So what I try to do, I feel like I pull girls for way too long, and honestly, it is exhausting on me. But if I see that somebody's like constantly digging in some way, like they have one party every week, or if their goals are always maybe 2 to 3 parties, whatever their goals is, if I see that they're digging in each time, I try to make sure I'm putting it into their minds often, just like Megan did for me. Hey, if you added 1 rep, do you know what your check could go to? And because I joined in January, a week after Megan did, I think. It took me until the end of April to see what the potential was of building a team. And I feel like if Megan would have given up on me after 30 days of me saying, yeah, I got a party booked. No, I don't have any potential reps. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am now. And so I feel like there's kind of a fine line where, okay, those girls that you're like, do you have the party booked? No? Okay, why aren't you sending the messages? Like that you're constantly feeling like you're on them about, okay, let's get 10 messages sent. Okay, well, if they don't get that figured out in 90 days, well, sink or swim. It's those girls that are kind of like staying consistent with what they're doing, but maybe they aren't building their team, or maybe they only have 1 rep. Those are the girls that I'm constantly reminding, okay, do you realize how close you are to senior director? Just that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I feel like that 30 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's kind of dependent on the person. So if it's a rep that's joined and they haven't haven't booked a party, they haven't done anything, maybe then it's just, but it's different if you've got a rep that's having, 1 party here or there and they just need a little bit more probing. And then, yeah, you kind of have to read it. I think it just depends on the person and where they're at, for sure. But so like with Chelsea, that is so true. I mean, Chelsea was so worried about losing sales by adding reps to her team. And it was just a misconception of like how this business works and what happens. So when we actually broke it down, I was like, Chelsea, seriously, like if you add a rep, they add a rep, like this thing can build for you. And as she started to see those pieces, like puzzle pieces come together, it was like a light bulb went on. Well, if we would have never had that conversation, Chelsea and I, who knows? Like she said, would she have ever started adding reps? I don't know. But sometimes it's just you talking through the numbers with your team so they understand it. Like you may personally understand it, but your reps may not at all understand what that even looks like or what it means. And I know, I think Tracy's on here. I know when Tracy was about to hit director, I was like, Tracy, you can totally hit director this month. And she's like, what? I'm like, well, your lifetime is already at 10,000. And she's like, oh gosh, like, it's just sometimes like you pointing those numbers out. Like if you add 1 rep and they have a party or 2 parties and you add another party or 2 this month, you are director, you're going to hit it. That's what I always do with my level 1s. I always walk through their numbers like, look, you've hit director, you're so close to senior director. Your lifetime is there. If you just add a couple more people to your team, get them to senior rep, girl, you're at senior director. And it's like when they first start, they think senior director isn't even a thought in their mind. They're like, oh, I could never hit senior director. That's 20,000 or 15,000 in lifetime, whatever it is, 15 or 20. And they don't even think that's possible. But once things start happening and you actually point those numbers out, then they have a whole different outlook on where they can be. So I agree with Chelsea. You have to talk numbers with people. And a lot of times, you guys, you have to break it down into a paycheck. And it's not that like, if you are director, you're making this. We don't make any claims like that. It's, hey, do you realize if you had sold 2,000 personally this month and your team averaged this, and you were a director, your check would be this? It's like just adding the numbers up for them. And then they're like, oh my gosh, really? Are you kidding me? And I only have to add 1 or 2 people to my team? Yeah. And then just kind of breaking it down like that. So yeah, I think that's so important. And I think Liz mentioned that too, like dive into the numbers. Like they have to know the numbers. They've got to understand it. And just because you do doesn't mean they do. I mean, I was like studied those rank tables like it was a Bible. But not everybody is like that. People don't do it like you're doing it. So you have to remember that. people are driven different ways. I was driven by numbers, but somebody else may be driven by, you know, just the fun of the, you know, they can book 1,000 parties, but they can't add one rep to their team. Well, how do you bring those two together then? You've got to talk through it. I hope that helps. I know we're getting to 9 o'clock, you guys. This is good conversation. I love this. I want to just really quick, you guys, remind everybody that we have a promotion going on for you Dash to Directors that is the 3 by 2,500. So if you sign up 3 reps and sell $2,500 personally for the month of October, oh my gosh, I just like, oh my gosh, wait, are we in October? Yes, we're in October. You are going to be signed up for free Zaya Cash. So we're giving away free Zaya Cash. And you guys, anyone that rank advances to director by the end of October is going to be added to our drawing for $500, $1,000, and $1,500 that we're giving away. And we're going to draw those winners the last week of October. I'm not going to give a date yet because we have not set that in stone, but the call will be done by Jackie Lawrence, our newest Double Zaya exec. So excited to have Jackie Lawrence on. She will be on the call to introduce the end to Dash to Directors. But do not be sad because we are bringing Dash to the Director back in January, and it is going to be better than ever. So, and we're going to be doing something special for you directors that have already hit for the months of November and December. So FYI on that, pass that on to your teams. More details on that to come. But I will get this recording out in an email, and then next week I will send details on the last Dash to Director call done by Jackie Lawrence. And right now it's looking like it's going to be the 26th or the 28th. So I will get back to you guys on that. It will not be the Tuesday, the 27th. Just FYI. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out since it's 9 o'clock and we don't want to keep anyone any longer. So you all have a wonderful day. Liz, thank you again so much for all of your wise words and conversation tonight. It was so good. Thanks everyone. We'll see you guys later.